everyone, it's Maria here with you today, and welcome once again to UK Scrap Addicts. This month's topic is journaling. Now, journaling is a very important part of scrapbooking for some people. Other people are happy to just work on the artist side of layouts. I try to bring a bit of both. I like working on the artistic side of layouts, but I always try to make journaling an important part. Sometimes the layout doesn't really call for a story or anything. The layout will only ask for like the date and the location. So that's fine. You don't necessarily have to tell a story every single time you make a layout. However, there are photos, there are stories that need to be told, and this is one of them. This is a layout I'm making about my first car. This layout's gonna be going to my Book of Me. The Book of Me is an album I'm creating with all sorts, basically, like places where I've lived, my favorite music, my first car, and things like that. And because I started scrapbooking and it was all about my children, and as I've been scrapbooking over the time, a lot of people say, well, are you making sure that you are in the stories as well? Because at some point your children will inherit these books, and it'll be nice for them to know about you and your story. So that's how the Book of Me came up, and I'm slowly working on it, but yes, it's getting there. So this layout, I'm keeping it very basic because I want to focus on, as I said, on the story and the title. That's why I've gone for very, very large alphas. These alphas are by Pink Paisley from the C'est La Vie collection, I think they are, and they're huge and I love them. But they take up so much space. And I'm also just cut very random pieces of scrapbooking paper, pattern paper from I think it's an American crafts collection, and I've just kept them random. I didn't want for them to be very straight or uniform or anything, and I've just glued them at very small angles and things like that to give them a bit of interest. So I will be gluing now my photo and the title as well. For the title, these alphas have like a little bit of a plastic coating on them, so I take my time to remove them because I bite my nails and I don't have long nails at all, so removing those pieces of plastic was quite interesting. This stencil that I just shown you there is from this month's sponsor for UK Scrap Addicts, and it's Pretty My Page. It's a lovely, I don't think there's a website just yet, but you can find Pretty My Page on Facebook, and they sell mainly, so say you don't have a die cutting machine, an electronic die cutting machine, so they sell the pre-cut designs. So say for instance backgrounds like a page full of hearts die cut with a silhouette machine. So they have already pre-made designs, but I'm pretty sure you can contact them and say, oh, can I have like the word, I don't know, Great Britain all in big letters, blah blah, something like that, and they make it for you. And they also make these lovely stencils, and this was donated to the UK Scrap Addicts design team, so you will see some of us creating layouts using these stencils. Not all of, only mine is like this grungy type. The rest of the design team have different type of stencils, but yeah. And I chose this grungy style one because I really love when you see in mixed media, you see like big splatters of paint. Some people manage to get those splatters by just splattering paint, but I've never managed to get them. So when I saw this stencil, I was like, oh yes, I really need that, because it really looks like you've just splattered paint with your brush or whatever, and I really like it, and it looks fantastic. And I wanted I only wanted a tiny bit of mixed media on this layout because I didn't want to take up too much of the white space with the paint, so that's why I've done it under the photo. And now I'm just gluing the title, and I will be doing my journaling next. For my journaling, I wasn't sure at the beginning how I was gonna do it. I thought for a while about handwriting on each side of the on the white space each side of the photo, but I changed my mind. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be typing it and printing it on my computer. Before I do that, as you can see, I'm hand cutting some florals, sorry, from the same paper pad, and which I'm going to be adding under the photo as well. Apologies for the light on the video. The light correction goes very blue sometimes. I think it's an overcast day, and just the camera is recording like it wants, really, so apologies for that. So yeah, going back to the journaling, I've designed it and printed it on my computer, and I'm using when I have a lot to write and I'm not sure how it's gonna look, but with handwriting, I tend to do this, and it's just printing it on the computer, and I use a font called Typewriter, and it just looks like a typewriter font. I bought an actual typewriter once, but no, it's so much hassle. With a computer, you can, if you you have time to think about what you're writing, and you can delete and you can reprint. With a typewriter, you don't have that luxury. So I really like doing this. And I'm very lucky that my text actually fits in there, because I didn't plan it or anything. I just made sure that I cut the stripes quite short, quite narrow, so they would all fit in there. And what else? Yeah, so once I finish gluing this journaling, I'm going to be doing some stitching, because I thought that there was something missing with the pattern paper, so I'm going to be adding some black stitching. By the way, the journaling on this layout is all about my first car, how I never drove in Spain. When I was still living in Spain, I never had a car. I never learned to drive. I had to learn to drive in the UK, because when I moved here, suddenly everything was so far away. Like the nearest supermarket was like 10-minute drive and things like that, so I had to learn to drive. So I finally passed my driving test in December 2006, but I drove my then boyfriend's car for the first year and a bit, until we decided to buy me a car for my 30th birthday. So this is it. This is the first day after collecting it from we bought it through Auto Trader, and we went to collect it somewhere in Wimbledon, if I remember correctly, and I had to drive it on my own all the way from Wimbledon back to our house in Surrey. That was quite scary. I think it was my first time, so yeah. And that's my layout, guys. I'm gonna be stamping the date, because the date is back in 2008. My date stamp doesn't go that far back, so I have to do it in 2 batches. The day and month one with one stamp, and the year with another. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching again, and I'll see you again on UK Scrap Addicts. Cheers. Bye bye.